highest quality award you can receive in the state of Florida, and we just so happened to have that honor in 2009. So a little bit more on the cost of the system. The Sunstar ambulance generates over $43 million in revenue for the county. The excess revenue goes from Sunstar back into the EMS system to help supplement when our property taxes went down. Our ad valorem taxes wasn't covering quite, so we can assist in that. One thing, I'm actually good at the next slide. So the picture is worth 1,000 words. So when you call 911 and you have your emergency, you get a fire department unit, first responder gets there, then your Sunstar ambulance service gets there. We talked about what Mo said on the right-hand side, the little graph showing time on task. Fire department's there about 25 minutes. For the ambulance to complete their full task, that patient, it's about 65 minutes. So for the 25 minutes that the fire department was involved, and for the 65 minutes that the Sunstar unit was involved, you can look at the graph and see that on the far right of the blue is Sunstar paramedics. And you can see how much it costs each department in the system, what it costs for them to respond, and for that 25 minutes of time. I'm not going to belabor this. Did it 3 times, I think. There's also been discussion about how much the ambulance service revenue or cost has increased over the years. The ambulance service increase from 2004 to 2010 was a 52% increase. Also keep in mind that our call volume increased by 25% as well. So that's a significant increase that justifies some of that, that revenue increase there. And then on the bottom, we weren't the only ones that had an increase. The first responder budget increased from 2004 to 2010, 44%. So, and then the numbers are there. So we talked about what a great system we have. How great is it? Well, if you have a heart attack in Pinellas County, you have a 57% chance of making it to the ED with a pulse. That, you cannot say that about a lot of places in the United States or in the world. This is how great our system is. Together, both entities working together, this return of spontaneous circulation is what that is. That means you did not have a heartbeat and you were not breathing. We arrived and we zapped you back to life. And we made it to the emergency room with you still back to life 57% of the time in 2009, 2010. Mentioned a little bit about our satisfaction. This is kind of about how we take care of you and our bedside manner as well. And we track that. You can see that we're doing very well with that. That benchmark there is American Consumer Satisfaction Index, and you can see we perform well above that. All right, that's it for me. I guess we'll wait for questions for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sully and Pete, I think we can remove the tower and we can get to some questions and answers. This is certainly one of those situations where the more you hear, the more questions you have, the more you realize you don't know about what it is that they're talking about. And there's a lot to this. There's no question, but. I'm anxious to move everyone up here. If you all want to move up to your seat, and we'll move all this out of the way. Yeah, you just hold that up.
Oh, I'm getting ready to go.
Oh. So we're going to mix questions between you and the commission. Our committee came up with some questions, and so I just have a few questions, but mainly we want to hear from you. And we don't want to get into long stories or position statements from the floor. We just want your questions, hopefully based on, oops, sorry, emergency, hopefully based on maybe something you heard today. I know I had a couple of questions that came up just from hearing these numbers. So I'll go ahead and start with kind of the first question based on actually Captain Milliken's presentation. In fact, I got an email yesterday from a county official, a very high-ranking county official yesterday, who said that is a member of our group, and I thought this was so great. So sorry that they're going to miss the meeting today. We'd love to have come, but I have a commitment tomorrow afternoon. I have an elderly neighbor across the street that falls fairly frequently, and I cannot believe the amount of personnel they send out each time. So I kind of want to start on that note, and I know that you all have heard that kind of thing, and I know I came home the other night and drove in my neighborhood, and there was a fire truck and an ambulance, and I know the situation, and it too is a similar situation like that. And so as great as the system is, and it certainly is, it could be that we just can't afford it to be that great. And so this is where we have to kind of to talk about that. So Captain Milliken talked about the fact that your numbers were based on a projection of a 2.5% historical increase each year in calls. And so you ran your numbers out based on a 2.5%, is that right? Increase?
Income increase, right.
Increase in calls, is that right?
No, income increase. The income, the number of transports.
Well, but that's calls.
That's not cost, that's the money that comes in the front door.
Is that?
No, it's not
It's working.
Okay.
Oh, I think I have it on mute. Then you'll have to hold it up when you pass it between, because if you lay down, it'll start
Okay.
making noise.
The 2.5% projection is the increase in income coming in. According to Sunstar, their transports increase 2.5% every year, which means 2.5% more money come into the budget every year.
Okay, well, would it be fair to say that that might be based on the increase in activity every year?
Yeah, it's based on transport.
Okay, so it seems, based on some of the meetings we've been to, and I may have to move away, based on some of the meetings we've been to, about 30% of the calls are non-emergency.
That's an answer for Craig.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you kind of an overview here. We do experience about a 2.5% increase in the number of patients that are transported to the hospital by ambulance. And about 30% of these calls are non-urgent. And so what we've done in terms of implementing priority dispatch is back in 2009 we moved the emergency medical dispatch function to the 911 center. And I'm sure that we did that very safely and effectively, and most of you didn't know that change occurred. Back in 2010, we decreased about 8,000 ambulance responses per year. So parking lot car accidents, low-level type of calls that don't tend to go to the hospital by ambulance, we eliminated sending both a fire unit and an ambulance unit. And I'm sure you felt that was also safe and effective, because we've not sold any newspapers that that service hasn't worked well. Our proposal now going into 2012 is to reduce the use of fire units on non-urgent calls, mostly a sick person, someone with back pain. They tend to go to the hospital by ambulance, so they need to have the ambulance respond. But it's nothing urgent. They've had their back pain or fever or medical condition for hours or even days when they call us, and they just need an ambulance to come. And that's part of what we're working on in this next phase, and hope to bring that to the county commission here in the next couple of months.
Okay, so that would result in a net decrease. If you can just keep backing up to try to get this done, do this. So that would be my question about the basing it on an ever-increasing number. But at the same time, we're trying to work to decrease the calls.
Sure.
So where's that intersect at not being workable?
Yeah, it's really about being as effective as we can, and one of the issues is that we're a preparedness model for fire rescue. You have a fire station, a fire unit that's in that station. They have to be staffed there 24 hours a day, and if we run them on less on these non-urgent calls, it doesn't mean that you don't still need to have that unit in place. So really, this is mostly about effectiveness, that we have those units available for the life-threatening calls, for the fire emergencies, and that we keep them available and don't tie them up, and don't give the public the perception of waste of sending multiple units to the lesser calls. So really, this is about us continuing to tweak and improve the efficiency of the system. I don't think that nets you lots of dollars in savings. It's mostly about the effectiveness of the response.
Let me answer, because I think really on point to what you're saying is we're building in this trend of increasing transports and increasing responses, but we're working towards priority dispatch, which would bring it down, which is absolutely true. But again, priority dispatch and really triaging to make sure you get that right resource to more critical incidents is, as I have talked to the medical director about, we're in phase 3, so you go a step at a time, and you're really watching that. You have a medical control board, you have groups that are really watching that to make sure, again, that you're effectively making those judgments as you're triaging from the 911. So again, ultimately the goal is you will reduce these transports and unnecessary times that the fire truck has to go, because again, that just creates danger too, and the more times you put that out on the road. But again, it's you just have to kind of, as the medical director said to me again, it's baby steps. You go out there and you do your next phase for the different types of calls. You make sure you've really effectively are nailing that as you triage them, and then you go to the next level. So ultimately the goal clearly is to reduce that, and you're absolutely right. That should help that trend of having all this increased activity and bringing it back. But it's something, again, it's a work in progress.
Okay. Apparently Sunstar has already made the capital investment in all of this equipment. And if we do this, according to what we're seeing, are we not being required to make the capital investment again into the same equipment, only for the fire department? Am I misunderstanding something? That was the question from the committee.
You are. At some point, the Sunstar replaces their ambulances. They said they're reboxing them now. And at the end of their contract, if another contractor comes in, again, they're going to buy new ambulances. With any takeover, it's going to change that. We did build that into there. There is more capital in it, but at the same time, the capital improvements built in there, there's also a substantial savings on top of that.
Yeah, if you have questions, would you want to go ahead and well, let's take a question from the audience. Anyone?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. I'll try not to bore everyone very, very little, all right? My name is Harold Bates. 45 years ago, I was hired by an act of Congress. A psychiatrist, a psychologist, and I were hired to start a drug rehabilitation program for the Bureau of Prisons. I know a little bit about medicine. During that time, the Kennedy-Jarvis bill was trying to be passed by Congress. Anyone know any idea what the Kennedy-Jarvis bill is? All right, this program, this wonderful program is upside down, it's inverted. The point that you have to initiate contact between the patient, the wounded individual, and these people is the telephone operator. Okay, this person has to be trained to ask, do you need the police? Okay. Oh, you don't need the police. Do you need the ambulance? Oh, if you have an accident out on the highway, you've got 20 individuals and 19 of them are idiots, but there's one person there that's going to take some responsibility to see that the